We are in Tabari Artspace for this incredible new exhibition by the Egyptian African artist Adel El Siwi. His exhibition is called Yellow Tropics, and as you can see behind me, there are some really big, bold, powerful works that the more you stare at, the more interesting, intricate details that you see.
I started my work focusing on the face. I worked with grays and browns, black and white contrasts, and suddenly I went to Africa. It was a very strange impact with colors and how the Africans use colors and consider colors. For the first time in my life, I saw this kind of integration between very strange colors together. It was in Africa. I started to realize the power of the chroma, of the color, the energy coming from the color.
Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about what caught our eye at Abu Dhabi Art.
The celebrities who are ditching X and migrating over to blue sky.
And Egyptian artist Adel El Siwi.
This is Culture Bites coming to you from the National News. I'm Enas Refaei.
I'm Farah Andrews.
And I'm Maan Jalal. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
What a busy week we're living through.
So what a busy season we are and now fully immersed in.
We are definitely immersed in the season. I feel like our calendar's getting more and more booked as everyone tries to squeeze it in everything during the beautiful weather we're having.
We are. It is wonderful at the moment. But this week is Abu Dhabi Art Week. So that's where a lot of our time has been.
Yes, I was at the press preview yesterday and you've been as well.
I'm going.
You're going.
Have you been yet?
I haven't, but I'm going tomorrow morning.
Oh my God, you're such a VIP. You're the only one.
Sorry, guys. Exclusive. So I was at the Abu Dhabi Art already. I've been there. It's on Manarat Sadiyat in Abu Dhabi, which is this lovely island. If you haven't been down to Abu Dhabi, definitely come down and see this beautiful island where all the arts and culture is kind of being squeezed into. Well, not squeezed at all, actually. It's lovely.
Plenty of space.
Lots of space. So there's artworks by loads of galleries across the world. This is not just about Abu Dhabi. There are people who have come from all over the globe to display lots and lots of different things. So I think a lot of people think about art as being like just paintings, but you're going to be able to see sculpture. You're going to be able to see like some really like things that kind of catch your eye. So I wanted to speak about one thing that caught my eye this time round, which was these beautiful rugs, which would be made with the Fatima bint Mohammed bin Zayed initiative. So when you first enter, which you will today, when you go through the big front doors, on the right-hand side, there are two rugs hanging on the wall, and they're both by this beautiful, by this amazing Emirati artist called Dr. Najat Maki. And one of the rugs really caught my eye because it's kind of based on a keffiyeh.
Oh, right.
So we have like the pattern of the keffiyeh. This is definitely not something you put on your floor.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a really
decorative rug.
We're hanging these.
Yeah.
We're hanging these rugs. I mean, can I afford this rug? No. But we're hanging this rug. And if you look really closely, it's like geometric kind of like keffiyeh style patterns. And then at the bottom, there's these tassels that are holding olive-sized beads.
Oh, perfect.
Which is really lovely.
So that's the welcome as you enter.
As you enter.
It's a nice statement.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful statement.
The rug is called Rhythm of the Land. And I just thought it was really beautiful to have an Emirati artist take inspiration from Palestine during this time and in rug format, which I thought was quite fun.
Yeah.
You were talking before about how obviously like we think like these art fairs, like I've not been down yet. I'm going down straight after this finishes, which is why I'm wearing my blend-in blazer. Something we've been talking about quite a lot this week at work is the fact that, of course, there are paintings, sculptures, as you mentioned, but there's also kind of historical artifacts. Yes. Have you seen the mummified falcon and the sarcophagus?
Yes.
The falcon sarcophagus. That's amazing.
It's brilliant. What a treasure to bring to Abu Dhabi at this time. Obviously it's the size of a falcon. Yeah. So I had to look quite hard for it. It's not huge. I did find it though, and it's being sold by a gallery. I believe they're a German gallery.
Rewind. Being sold. So they're selling.
Sold. Yes.
Oh,
They're selling it.
Oh, right.
Yes, they are selling it.
Wow.
Yes. So you could be
So
the
if I
proud
had the
owner.
budget,
If you had the budget.
I could be the proud owner.
And a mantelpiece area in your home.
Let's assume that he or she who has the budget has the mantle.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure that the price is probably up for negotiations, but I think it's going for around 600,000
Dirhams?
dirhams.
Ah. Well, I'll just sell part of my house and then we'll...
Yeah, it's a good one to see. Definitely
Yeah, I'm
like to
gonna
see
go
an artifact that close up.
Yeah.
So the same gallery that's holding that is also holding like really old handwritten Qurans and Arabic language books as well. So lots of artifacts to be seen in the same little stall if you go around, or booth.
Did you
Booth,
say
yeah.
it was a German gallery?
I believe so, yes.
Interesting.
Hugo was the man who's selling it. I spoke to him.
So he probably knows a lot. He'd be
Okay.
great to talk to.
He will be great to talk to. I did have a chat with him. I should have put that down in my notes. I didn't.
So I'm going tomorrow, and all the listeners and viewers, if you're listening and watching, make sure you check out our Instagram, because I will be creating some really cool videos with one of our producers where I'll be talking to people on the ground about their favorite
Like Hugo.
pieces. Like Hugo.
Go find
about
Hugo.
their favorite pieces and what they liked. And just to get, if you're listening and you're not in the UAE, just to get a feel and the vibe of what it's like to be at Abu Dhabi Art, this will be, a very cool way to do that.
I think it's such a good way of experiencing art, because you're seeing lots of galleries all in the same place at the same time. I think we can go to galleries and see and it's, when it's really spread out, like Al Sakal is like an amazing example of lots of galleries being in one area. But when you're all under one roof, you get the real vibe and sense of each of these gallery spaces coming together.
Yeah.
There was another person as well that stood out, another little booth.
Yeah.
A little booth, which is the Salma Feriani booth, which is booth A2, if you're there.
I'll make a beeline.
Make a beeline. So Tunisian artist Rafiq El Kamal is exhibiting there, and his works are majority of these works are from 1983. Really beautiful kind of interpretations, that's the wrong word, but kind of quite modernist strokes being used to I would say display Tunisian life in a really fresh modern way. I was actually taken aback by these paintings being painted in 1983 because they felt
very contemporary,
really, so contemporary, so current, and the red fezzes of the men, just splodges of paint, really beautiful. If you want to buy me something, if you want to buy me something, you can just pick up one of those for me. That would be great.
And if you want to buy me something, you can go to, there's a couple of new sections this year. There's Something Bold, Something New, which is modern artists from the region. So Arab artists who are modern painters from the region. There's also the Collector's Salon, which has artifacts, historical objects, manuscripts, and artworks. Maybe that's where the Falcon was.
Maybe that's where it is.
Yes. And there's also Silk Roads, which is galleries from Central Asia that are exhibiting here for the first time. So that's really cool. But I'm really, really, really excited about the program, the Arab Presence exhibition, which has up to 50 artworks from the Farjam Foundation and an exhibition called Modern Art and Decolonisation. So it's Arab artists. So, I love Arab artists. I love modern contemporary artwork. So that's one I'm really excited to see.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
What a fun way
It's a very diverse festival this year. There's so much.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, there's nearly 100 galleries exhibiting and showing coming from 31 countries. So that is so obviously there is a real eye on the region and regional works, but they do kind of bring over such a broad and nice eclectic mix. And the kind of thing that I find so interesting about going to these art fairs is you obviously have the people that are there just to enjoy the art, kind of treating it as a day going around galleries and going around booths. And then there's the tier of people that are there shopping.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, there's
I wanna
I'll
be
have
their
this
friend.
and this and that.
I want to be their friend.
Yeah. I want to sit down and kind of talk to these people and be like, so do you, it's because they're very similar to your Frieze festivals, your Frieze fairs and other Art Dubai, et cetera, where people are kind of going in and they're buying these pieces from here. And it's kind of right, this is where I go and I kind of stock up on my essentials.
Yeah. I always wonder if they buy the art and store it, or they buy the art and put it up in their walls. I always
Display it.
ask people when I get the chance to meet them.
Interesting.
And you know what's something else I always find really interesting is that a lot of people that go to these festivals and fairs a lot, they also really dress the part, and dressing the part for them is part of being there, and their aesthetic, their fashion aesthetic usually reflects their taste. So whenever I see anybody that's dressed really interesting, I always go up and talk to them.
You've just given me an idea that you aren't going to love that I've had the idea.
Yeah.
Because I think we talk so much when we're thinking about stories, and this is like a bit kind of like industry side, but when we're thinking about like fashion week and those kind of like talking to those people, but I think we should be talking about people about the fashion at these kind of events.
Yes.
100%.
Because it's also a part of the
so
art.
chic.
Yeah, it is. Also, if you're going to be going to Abu Dhabi Art, please check out the Beyond Emerging Artist exhibition, because I'm really excited about that. It's basically a program by Abu Dhabi Art where they choose 3 artists that are based in the UAE. For a whole year, they mentor them, and then the work that they mentor them on is displayed at Abu Dhabi Art. So this year, the artists are Dina Nazem Korchid and Simber Mirhan Agrawal, who's an Indian artist based in Abu Dhabi, and Fatima Al Ali, who is an Emirati artist. And I've seen some of their work, previous work, images of their previous work, and they're very different. So I'm excited to see the exhibition. And our colleague Razmik is going to be writing about that. So I'm very excited to see. I always love the fact that there's a mixture of like, renowned artists, but then these young artists who in a couple of years will be a little bit more well-known.
It's like, they kind of are trying to amplify those voices.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about another thing that you've been busy about this week?
Yes. Speaking of established artists, and I went to Tabari Artspace, which is in DIFC, and I got to interview, I was very excited, this really amazing, well-known African-Egyptian artist called Adel El Siwi. So he is an artist who paints very big paintings, very colorful paintings, figurative works that combine a little bit of abstraction as well. So it's usually figures that are stylized with like beautiful plain backgrounds, really bold color. And this is his first show in the UAE in 10 years. And it's a new body of work, along with some work from his work from the 1980s. I can't explain like what an important artist he is, especially in Egypt, because he was doing a lot of kind of pop art inspired work in Egypt back when nobody was really doing that back then. And what's really interesting about this exhibition is that we talked a lot about how he went to South Africa for the first time and how he experienced color there and nature in a completely different way and how it influenced his work. But anyway, I interviewed him, went to the exhibition, so you guys can see that in this little video segment. We are in Tabari Artspace for this incredible new exhibition by the Egyptian African artist Adel El Siwi. His exhibition is called Yellow Tropics, and as you can see behind me, there are some really big, bold, powerful works that the more you stare at, the more interesting, intricate details that you see. Adel is here, and I'm so excited to talk to him about his influences, the themes that he works with, and how Africa has really changed his perspective on color. Hi, Adel.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
Mabruk on this amazing show. It looks really amazing.
Thanks a lot.
Tell me, being in the space and looking at the artworks, not in your studio, but in a gallery space, how does it feel? Do you look at it like an artist? Do you feel more like the viewer, or are you criticizing or looking at little things? How does it feel?
Every time you put a painting in a place, it has a relation with its surroundings. And the impact here was very strange because I saw the red and then the white. When we work in the studios, we work always on neutral backgrounds, like white, gray, clear gray, bright gray, not
something like this, red.
The presence of a color.
Yeah.
The red color here is dominating, but I liked very much the way paintings can challenge the space and change their the energy.
Yes.
This is why this is the importance of the display. That the paintings get out of the studio and go to world,
Go to the world. Yes. They go out in the world and they have a new life.
And they have to defend themselves.
Yeah. Is that scary when you send your work out into the world?
It is. Because the work in the studio gives them a very a special focus on the work. Mm-hmm. But in the exhibition, it's a lot of pieces. Yes. You find a lot of pieces together. Yeah. And so you don't see one work.
You see them as a group.
The group. Mm. And this is another way of looking, another way of
experiencing the work.
Another experience.
Can you tell me about these new pieces that you've made, and particularly the focus on the color yellow? It's like a mustard yellow. Mm. Why was that color one that really fascinated you in this new body of work?
I started my work focusing on the face, and I worked with grays and browns, black and white contrasts, and suddenly I went to Africa, and it was a very strange impact of colors, and how the Africans use colors and consider colors, and for the first time in my life, I saw this kind of integration between very strange colors together. It was in Africa.
Yeah.
I started there to realize the power of the chroma, of the color, the energy coming from the color, and the color in the color, the yellow of the yellow. Yeah. So I shifted, since my works, the big shift towards colors, and the first trying to use like the red in this spot.
And very strategic.
But then as a field. Yeah. And I did. All these works in the yellow are coming from this guy, looking to a yellow field. And then looking, the field starts to tell you something. And you trace this. These images or shadows or phantasm, ashbah, ashbah safra. So now I start my work from the field, from the chromatic field.
Got you.
Abstract chromatic field, like blue, yellow, green. And then I have to look a lot to this field and say like a kind of meditation.
And you're finding then things come out from the...
to tell me.
It's really interesting that you say that, because even as the viewer, when we experience your work, first we see this bold color, all these very strong compositions, but then the more we look, we start to see new things that we didn't see at first. Yeah. The small details, the mark making, the little animals or the little expressions or the plant life. So I wonder, is this something that you also want the viewer to experience your work in more than one way, not just the initial impression, but then looking and seeing more intimately what's on the canvas, yeah?
I think that canvas can tell you something, but a lot of things are hidden. They are inside the canvas, but you can't see them from the first
look.
First look. When I was working on the face, the stories were not that important for me. But now I started to work on the stories, narrative. So it's a narrative is a complex identity.
Yeah.
You can discover all the layers, like Milonanot, Alf Leila or Leila.
Yes.
Yes, there's a story, and there are a lot of stories behind the stories.
Yes.
Yeah. So I started to work in this kind of appearance of the thing that comes out, emerge from the surface, and then a lot of things hidden
behind it. So Adel, I want to talk to you about these series of work, but I want to start with this one. What's so fascinating about this work is the different way you've painted each face. Yeah. This one is very much the antiqui Greek kind of face that we recognize, and this is more your stylized. We know this as the faces that you paint. Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about this contrast and why you have them together in the frame?
Many pieces recently. I'm thinking about working on this permanent interest to work on the past and to find things coming from the past and the surprises of the past. And this is one of these moments.
Yes.
We are in the real and present moment, but we are always looking for another moment.
Yes.
This different types of this is a classic in the mere sense and pure sense of classic faces. But this is a woman of our reality,
Yes.
or of the, let's say, the archive of modern art.
Yes. Together in one frame.
Together in one place. All the classics and the traditions of the 19th century figuration.
And I love how she's holding it as if she's presenting it.
Yeah. It's like a precious thing to say. And she's looking to us. The woman is looking to us about, I found this. I think we found the past. We found the ancient history. We are looking always to the treasures, to this kind of treasures coming from the past.
And how they influence us as well.
Influence us now.
Yes, yeah. So this work, I really love.
It's Africa again.
It's
Africa.
It's Africa.
Yeah.
But what I love about this is sort of what I was talking about before, is that at first we see this very big, bold color, big, bold composition, but then there's all these beautiful details. You have the flowers by the ears, the small lines around the eyes, and then we see the fox in the middle coming out. Tell me about this combination of these different elements that come together in one frame.
It's very important what you said about the small details and the buildings a bit monumental of the face, and then the body is limited that way. Well, I think that the details are very important, but it gives you something to fix your eyes on, and then your feeling towards the bigness or the of the other the things related.
The color, the composition,
Yes. And the other thing is the story within the story. It's just because within the face of this young or adolescent African boy, this continuous fear of the fox, so you'll find the fox or the wolf. There's always a story of something that threatening you that will come out and
something within him.
Yes, it is the same right there. There is a big thing, and then within there's a small story, and this will tell you that this is not anybody. This is the boy with the flowers on his ears.
So I think about those novels by Philip Pullman and the animals that are like souls that live outside the body. So your work sometimes reminds me of that.
It's a kind of also finding this animal background. We are animals.
Yes.
But we forgot this.
Yes.
That we are. This is our family.
Yeah. I love this work because not only there are so many interesting references. We have the African masks. We have this halo that reminds me of the old Renaissance. The saints. But also there's a very strong contemporary editorial fashion kind of feel to it. Not only in the very dapper way he's dressed, but even in the composition and the way the fur or the vest and the patterns. And I also love the color, the use of the color red here. Lips, bow, and then the lips again, and then the pink layering. So tell me about combining these different influences into this one frame.
I didn't start with all these details. The starting point was a man standing with archaeological things that he found, and he's proud of this. And then you start to find details within the story. And who is? And who is the man? It's not the typical archaeologist with the pipe. He's an African. And could be a saint. But a contemporary saint was... So I don't have a rational way of choosing things. Things are coming when you are looking to the face, and I think this face is small, so I need to support it. And so comes out the idea of, but they are very big. So I put this. So it's
about balance.
Yes, it's a process.
Yes,
it's a process. But I don't have idea about the things. I don't know, put this to say that or this. The glasses were just the last thing that I put on the face. And
but it balances
I
the
think
face,
they added a lot.
Yeah, they did. But you know what I'm noticing in these three works particularly is this idea of the past and the present. Again, you know, in the first work we're just talking about, she's holding a classic sculpture. He's holding, you know, these ancient African masks.
Primitive,
Yes. So it's like the Western canon and what that does to the present, and you know, the African history and what it does to the identity of the African person in contemporary times, but also looking inside, like, you know, with the animal, with the second portrait in the mind, and what's happening internally, how it also affects externally. It's good. They're very beautiful.
You know, in the history of art, we have this period of modernism where artists were talking about l'objet trouvé. The found object.
The found object, yes. The found object.
These are the found object.
Yes.
This is a kind of sarcasm or narrative about this l'objet trouvé.
Yeah.
We always find the past.
It always comes back and it always influences the present and the future,
What a great segment. Thank you for that, man.
Thank you
No
very
worries.
much.
Thank you for getting it out and about. So the next thing we're going to talk about is something that is kind of, it's an interesting one, let's not lie. Celebs are getting rid of Twitter or X, and they're moving over now to Blue Sky, which is this new platform that's popped up. Have you been on it yet?
I haven't, but I'm curious to see what this online migration is all about.
I haven't signed up for it, but I've been on it and looked at it. Have you looked at it?
Yeah, what does it look like?
It's Twitter.
This basically.
Oh, it looks like it's the same
So it's been
interface
found,
kind of thing.
the whole thing is that it's going back to Twitter when everyone was like, oh, Twitter was so great. This time, like 5 years ago, basically pre-Elon Musk, is what a certain core of the Twitter user thinks. Like, and so Blue Sky has been, is it launched by or is it backed by Jack Dorsey, the Twitter co-founder?
So Jack is back in the limelight.
This is interesting.
So it's kind of interesting. I used to work at Twitter. Did you know that?
I did.
No, I did not know this.
I used to work at Twitter. I worked there for about a year. So I've got my own thoughts on Twitter.
Does this make you upset?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think it makes me feel...
I think there's a problem if you have an emotional connection to a social media platform.
Yeah, probably.
I don't have an emotional connection to any social media platform, even though I've worked there. I think that's quite healthy.
Yeah, I think it's very good.
But then...
They're those boundaries we were talking about earlier.
Oh, she loves a boundary. But no, it's kind of interesting because it obviously looks exactly like Twitter. And it's saying that it runs on a decentralized framework, which means that no single or individual organization owns or regulates it.
See, I read that and I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting.
I understand each of those words on their own.
Together.
Bring that all together.
I think this is where I personally am a bit like, no, because that wasn't the case for Twitter at all. Twitter was definitely centralized, definitely had framework.
So is this it kind of trying to say that it's a step forward, it's an evolved, or is this a criticism of it?
Well, it just feels strange to abandon a platform that's like wildly successful and lots of people are talking on. But a lot of people are choosing to do so. So Lizzo...
I think, sorry, just before we jump into the people who have moved over, Twitter has changed. Like, not just in the kind of rhetoric. A lot of the points that people who have moved over are talking about the rhetoric and the fact that it's become quite toxic, and that is a huge problem. But just like from a user experience, nothing, if I go on Twitter, and I do go on Twitter, I go on Twitter a lot for stories, I go on Twitter for research, and I don't use Twitter anymore as a way to communicate. I don't use it as a social media platform. Like, there's not a single development about my life that's gone on Twitter in like the last year plus, I'd say. But when I'm using the app, 80% of what I'm seeing is not from people that I follow. I'm not engaging with anyone that I know or follow, anyone that I've chosen. So the algorithm, the way Twitter or X is currently functioning is not the same user. I think that's the point that people kind of, a lot of people are making. It's no longer the user experience that it once was when you were engaging with people that you know and having quite lively and interesting conversation.
But I think they've changed it so at the top you have to press for you.
But so it's, you get the kind of for you, and then you get your kind of like regular feed. And the feed is just, everything is an ad, and everything is kind of engaging with people that are having lively conversations over here that could be quite interesting, but it's nothing that I've indicated interest in.
But that's something that's, I think, also happening on other platforms 100%. Like Instagram.
Yeah.
But something that I've heard people say who are active on Twitter and they have lots of followers, now they feel over the past, 2 years, 3 years, that their posts aren't getting to the people they used to get to before.
Yeah.
And that's why they're migrating. It's also like my voice isn't being heard, like I'm somehow getting lost in the algorithms. So that's something that I've heard from like micro influencers or whatever that are based here. Yeah. And that's why they're migrating to other platforms.
But even if I was still trying to use it as a platform that I engaged on, and I have however many followers, and I'm trying to talk to the people that actually follow me, it's not there.
It's not
and
there.
I'm not seeing anything from the people I actually follow. So it's no longer a fun user experience in that respect.
I think that it's definitely changed. I think that if you just press the For You tab, though, it's all there.
But you have to press it every time you go in.
Tech support?
Yeah.
It's not there. It is a different.
I think everybody has like different experiences. I think that a lot of people are leaving Twitter not because of the user.
It's a
political statement, and I think that's where I don't mind if people leave Twitter. As I said, I'm not like emotionally bound to Twitter, but I do have issue with like making everything political.
I mean, like here, the complete link is that people no longer want to engage on a platform that is owned by Elon Musk, who is now a part of the Trump team.
Isn't that strange though? Isn't it strange when we have like, Amazon, people still buy off at Amazon, but Jeff Bezos is, hugely right wing.
Yeah. Or even living in places that you don't.
Yeah, you read newspapers that are written by, Murdoch.
Yeah.
And I just find that like kind of disengaging with a platform and then saying people who engage with a platform are like somehow politically aligned to the right. I don't think any of us should be surprised when the billionaire that owns the tech platform that we're using is aligned with the right. They aren't worried about our financial interests. They're just worried about their... Yeah. I mean, like, Mark Zuckerberg isn't looking out for the greater good. Perhaps, like, who knows? But I just feel like social media platforms were about bringing people together. And I have a fear that if we start having right platforms, left platforms, then actually we're not doing what they were set out to do, which was like bringing everybody together for a conversation.
And it's going to amplify these echo chambers, right?
100%.
Stephen Fry, big fan of Stephen Fry, obviously.
Huge fan.
Finally, someone talking sense.
Years ago, he said something really interesting, which was when the internet first came about and Twitter first came about, he was so excited because he thought it would be this even playing ground for everybody. Everybody has a voice. But even back then, he said, I feel like actually it's Pandora's box. At the time, I was like, oh, what is he on about? But now I kind of get what he means is that it's not so much what people are saying, but now the reaction to what people are saying and this whole division that's happening, people going to different platforms and think this is the platform for us. And this is, I think also the fact of maybe banning people from Twitter.
Yeah, I think that was a bad move.
That was also something that made people feel like, okay, we can't be
like, I think that,
I think there is like, if you are going to just sit and expel hate speech, that's one thing. But
you put a warning on it. I don't think you should ban it. I think it gets really difficult when you're going to have somebody morally judge, or like who is there for the moral
where's the line
judge?
and who is the one who's making the decision?
That is true.
Well, my question is, the fact that celebrities are migrating over to Blue Skies now, will that affect? Do you think people want to now go to Blue Skies because these celebrities are talking about?
I think it's going to, they'll take over the kind of people that care about where celebrities are. They'll be interested in following, but I don't think it's going to have any kind of long-term impact. It's exactly what Enas was just saying. It's just going to create a further divide of like people who have very left-leaning versus very right-leaning politics and the kind of a platform for each.
Yeah.
And I think if we saw anything from the recent US election, it's that people really do not care what the celebrity is voting for.
Yeah, they don't.
No one is worried
where
the billionaire, we all know that I love Taylor Swift, But Taylor Swift didn't move that needle. No one's worried about where Taylor Swift's voting. No one's worrying about who who Beyonce's voting for. No one worries about who Kid Rock's voting for. Like that's not what's in it. It's like maybe like a tiniest percent. So yeah, celebrities are going to go over, but celebrities live in their own little cloud in the sky.
Yeah, it's all optics.
Can I talk about the celebrities that are going over now?
Yeah, please do.
Go for it. Okay, so Lizzo.
Yeah.
Lizzo, and she
Is it Lizzo or Lizzo?
Is it Lizzo or Lizzo?
I say Lizzo.
Lizzo.
I like Lizzo though. It feels very fancy.
It feels chic.
It feels chic.
Feels a bit Arab. Lizzo. Anyway, Lizzo, she said, I joined Blue Skies because we're leaving toxicity in 2024. And she added the hashtag the Great Migration.
I think, first of all, I like Great Migration. I think it's funny. We're leaving the bird. I think that's funny.
It is funny.
Good pun.
I think it is funny. I think it is quite funny. Stephen King has said that he tried to stay, but the atmosphere had just become too toxic.
And can I just say, Stephen King is very, very, very active on Twitter. He's one of the reasons I joined Twitter years ago, because he's like an author. He's always talking about books and everything on there. So he was a very active Twitter ex-user.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The word toxic has come up in both of these posts. I don't think we could ever say that Twitter was not toxic.
It was always toxic.
Twitter's always been a pylon.
Social media?
Exactly. All of it.
The online world.
So what do we think Blue Sky is going to be? Some kind of like euphoria where bad people don't go and we don't say you're wrong?
Exactly. I mean, Instagram, I've said it once, I've said it again, makes me feel fat, ugly, and poor.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's there for.
I love it.
I mean, I've gone, we've spoken about it, I'm cold turkey. Although I went back on at the weekend because my brother put up a nice post about me and I had to acknowledge it.
Oh, we're going to dissect that. Let's talk about that later.
Okay.
Boundaries. Ben Stiller posted twice about his account on Blue Sky, directing his 5.3 million followers to follow there. Funny that, posting on Twitter to get you to follow Blue Sky. But anyway.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, have all these statements been posted on Twitter/X?
I think they have. But anyway, I think there's a lot of people.
I didn't even know Barbara Streisand was on Twitter. Effective immediately, any comments I'll post on Blue Sky, #Twitter Exodus. I was like, what? Okay,
is she quite funny on...
No, Diane Warwick is hilarious on Twitter. You know Diane Warwick?
Cher.
Yeah. So Cher is really funny.
Hey, listen, if anyone's going to get me to Blue Sky, it might be Cher.
Right, let's get Cher on there. But yeah, so it'll be interesting though to see, because I think we've seen like lots of platforms try, like Threads will try to enter in the Twitter space, and I don't feel like it's succeeded.
Threads, honestly, back when I was an Instagram user, my main interaction with Threads is how much it annoyed me that I would have to leave Instagram and go on Threads.
But do you know what's kind of fickle about all the social media platforms is that, remember when Kylie Jenner posted on Twitter or Instagram, Snapchat is lame or something like that, and then Snapchat shares just dropped. And so to me, I'm like, the fact that she isn't even a political person, or she doesn't appear political, she doesn't talk about politics, but she said this one thing and then one platform, they're already on very shaky foundations.
But that's their area of influence, right?
Yeah.
That's what she can influence. She's not going to influence a political election, but she can tell you that it's kind of cringe that you're on Snapchat.
Yeah, it's kind of cringe. It's not cool to be on Snapchat.
Hey, don't tell that to anyone in Saudi Arabia, because the Snapchat scene there is
huge.
Gangbusters.
Popping. Great for them. Should we move on to recommendations for the week? Let's talk recos. Man, what are your...
Blue Skies. No, I'm kidding. No, my recommendation is very unlike me. It is get out of the house. There's so much happening right now from Abu Dhabi Art, from galleries in Atrakal Avenue, from stuff happening in DIFC. Go see some shows, have a nice lunch outside, but just don't be at home.
I love that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love
my
that.
recommendation is stay at home and read a book. The book that I'm currently reading.
Which is?
Because I'm still not on social media, so I'm still reading loads.
I love that.
The book I'm currently reading is called The Drowning Woman by Robin Harding. She's a Canadian author. It's another kind of like twisty-turny thriller. I'm 70% of the way through, so I think I've had like 2 of my twists. I think I'm in for another big one.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 more. Who knows? It's a thrilling seat to be sat in.
The Drowning Woman.
Yeah, so kind of first chapter situation, we have a homeless woman in the US who's left New York and driven across the country. She's in Seattle and she's living in her car. And she is moving from place to place and she sees a woman drowning and saves her life. Wow. And then their lives kind of come together in ways that simply no one could ever have predicted.
Love it.
It's very good. It's really good.
Sounds a bit thriller.
It is thrillery, yeah. So far we've had some murder, we've had some robberies,
mystery, intrigue.
We've had some mystery phone calls, we've had some misnomers, we've got identity, there's everything.
Nice.
It's good. 10 out of 10. Am I going to give it? At the moment, if I was rating on Goodreads, my previous recommendation, I'd be going a 4.5, but you aren't allowed to give 0.5, so I'd be giving a 4.
Interesting.
Check back in next week for my 5.
My recommendation for the week is actually a bit of a turning back of the clock. So I only recently got Apple Plus.
Apple TV Plus?
Apple TV Plus, that's the name. And off the recommendation of one of our producers, Starr, who is obsessed with the show, is Ted Lasso. Have you seen it? I just felt like I was really late to this party.
I watched it earlier this year, maybe, and I feel like I was also quite late to it. People love this show, though.
Is it very sports heavy? Because
you have to know anything about sports.
Really, no.
It is like set in sports.
I'm in.
It is basically, when she did go to London, she insisted on going to Twickenham, which I thought was a bit weird.
Or Richmond?
Is it Richmond? Oh, Richmond. Sorry, Richmond. So she went to Richmond, and I was like, weird. Like, why would you go to Richmond yourself? Because of Ted Lasso. And I was like, well, if that is how dedicated.
Eddie asked to go to Richmond when we were in London.
Because of Ted Lasso?
He wanted to go look at a watch, but also was quite happy to be in Richmond.
Wow. So it's done wonders for West London. So I thought, let's look at Richmond. I used to work with someone who lived in Richmond, and that was about all of my interaction.
They'll be thrilled with their property price.
So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, Ted Lasso is about an American coach who goes over to coach to manage a football team in the UK in London. And he's got a very optimistic American attitude to life, which is so delightful, but juxtaposition with the sarcastic, grim British attitude makes for fun comedy.
To intersect and bring our worlds together, both on Apple TV Plus. Last week I recommended Shrinking, yeah?
I still haven't seen it.
Not Roy Keane, he's a real person. What's the kind of grumpy character in Ted Lasso called? Roy Kent.
Roy Kent, thanks, Star.
Not Roy Keane, who is a real person.
Yes.
He's in Shrinking. Yeah.
I like the grumpy guy.
He's my favourite character.
Yeah, I like all grumpy people there. I think it's just the Brit in me.
Many swear words come out of his mouth, but if you bleep it, it's fine.
Bleep, bleep. So yeah, if you haven't seen Ted Lasso, guys, see it when you can. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening or watching.
And if you like this episode, please follow and subscribe on your favourite podcasting app.
And don't forget to tell your friends and family about it and follow us on socials.
Bye.
Bye.